tongue in it. And you're shoving it all in his mouth. Oh, you're not so hard now, are you? You want to shove in my mouth before. You don't want to do that now, do you? I got in fights a lot. I was a very stocked guy back when I was younger, and I enjoyed getting in fights. And I was around a bunch of other heroin addicts who were all just these lazy, skinny. So I was much bigger than all of them, and it was always a good time if we ever got into fights. But I've never been an aggressive person. I've never been somebody who's trying to start fights or anything. I enjoy them. I have fun. If there's a fight, I'm going in. Even if I haven't picked a team, sometimes I'll go in and just pick the team in the middle. Whoever I punch first, I'll figure out who's where, and then that just means I'm on the other team. But there was one day, me and my friends, we had a couple hundred rolls. If you don't know what rolls are, it's MDMA, ecstasy. I think we started off with 500, and we were under a lot of pressure to sell them. My friend Casper was the one who fronted all of the money for it, and so we were all trying to help sell these, but he was the one holding the bag. We rolled pretty hard one night. I stayed over at Main Event's house, woke up the next morning just in a lot of pain. Just if you roll really hard, you're sore and you hurt, just everything is just painful. I was just laying there, just I want to go back to sleep, but I can't fall back asleep, but I don't want to get up. Everything hurts. And Main Event comes in and he's like, bro, yo, you got to come downstairs. I was like, why? He's like, Casper is selling rolls to these guys, and they want 200 of them. And initially, they were paying 10 a pop. And he's like, Casper, out of nowhere, why they called, they said they were on their way. They were paying about $2,000. And then Casper said, I'm changing it to 13 a pop, just so you know. And they said, okay, cool, no problem. We're on our way. Now, for those of you who have done drugs before, yes, you guys know what that means. All right. Casper was not the brightest. But he was a cool guy. But he when he was younger, he was in middle school. He played on the what was it? The All-American game. When you watch the Little League World Series on ESPN, he was a pitcher in one of those games. But he got hit in the head with a fly ball when he was young, and he was in a coma for a long time, months, and just was not the same afterwards. So 100% Tom had an embarrassing nickname. My nickname was Frenchie. But anyways, so they're on their way. Main Event wakes me up and he's like, dude, he just raised the price by $3 on 200 rolls. And they just said, okay, it's nothing. You got to come downstairs. And I was like, dude, just tell him to go somewhere else. Just tell him to go to the park. If he wants to get robbed, that's on him. I got nothing to do with this. I want to stay in bed. He's like, please do come downstairs. I was like, I'm not doing it, dude. I'm not getting out of bed. A little while later, Main Event comes back and he's like, dude, you got to come now. They're almost here. You got to come downstairs. I was like, what? He's like, he raised the price to 15 a pop, and they still said, okay, cool. See you soon. It's like, oh, freaking crap. Tell him to just cancel the whole thing, dude. Tell him to cancel the whole thing. Tell him to go. He's like, he won't cancel it. I keep telling him he won't cancel it. He's still planning on doing it. He thinks it's all good. I was like, all right, then tell him to go somewhere else, bro. Tell him to go somewhere else. If he wants to be a retarded, that's not on us. Tell him to go somewhere else, please. He's like, he won't go. I've tried kicking him out and he won't go. Casper's a big dude. Casper's a big freaking dude. Okay, he's 6'7". No joke. I'm not exaggerating. He is 6'7". Okay, long, lanky, strong kid. Just not coordinated at all. Just kind of all over the place. Big dude. Right? We're all 17, 18, maybe. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I go downstairs. And I'm like, Casper, you got to cancel this, dude. This is retarded. What are you doing? He's like, it's good. I know the guy who connected us. They're good friends with him. Okay, it's fine. So I was like, all right, fine. I lay down. I go to sleep. I wake up to screaming. Like that. Literally just like that. A lot of tongue in it. So I stand up and I take off. Okay. Now there's a wall here. And you got to like get to the wall, go down the hallway, and then turn in. And then here's the front door, right? So there's this wall, like front door's here, and there's just a wall sitting here. You can either go around this way or go around this way. So I jump up off the couch and run and turn to go around the wall. And there's a rug on hardwood. So I literally turn, hit the rug, and just slide for like maybe like 10 feet and just smack into the wall, fall over, get back up, and just take off running. And I hear main event behind me. So I'm like, okay, cool, we're going. So I run up there, and there's Casper grabbing on to both sides of the door like this. And he's just holding on for dear life while 3 dudes are pushing against him, trying to get out the door. And he's just like holding on with his legs spread, just like trying to hold them in there. You're going, ah! Ah! And I like, and all 3 of them are just like trying to shove through him to get through. And so I just come up behind them and just whap, whap, whap. There's 3 hits right in the side of each one of their heads, and they all just like turn around and back up like this. And Casper comes inside and shuts the door and stands in front of the door. And one of the kids takes off running through the house and runs in a full circle and then comes back. So like that wall that I'm telling you about where you could have gone around either way, he runs all the way around and then comes back, and he's like, oh, freaking crap, I can't find a way out. There was a door out the back right there, but you didn't see it. I don't know. So he comes right back, and I was like, okay, what the hell just happened? Casper's like, they tried to steal from you. I look down, and there's money all over the floor, like dollar bills scattered everywhere. And I was like, okay, we're just not going to sell to you guys. Casper, you have the drugs, right? He's like, no, they have the drugs. They're like, no, he has the drugs. And I was like, okay, nobody's going anywhere until we figure out who has the drugs. Okay, nobody's like, I don't know if you guys think you're leaving, but you're not going anywhere until we figure out who has the drugs. What's going on? Casper starts picking up the money off the floor. Main event did not follow me over. Okay, main event ran into his parents' garage and comes with 2 golf clubs that he got out of his garage. Okay, hands 1 golf club to Casper, and Casper and him are standing on both sides of me like this with their freaking golf clubs, like they're getting ready to go to bat. So I was like, but y'all can have all your money, just give us the drugs and then you can go. And they're like, we don't have it, we swear, promise, we don't have the drugs. He has the drugs. They're like, we just wanted to buy the drugs, and then he wouldn't let us and started freaking out. So we tried running out, and then he stopped us. I look down and I see the baggie with all of the rolls in it. I can see it sticking out of this kid's pocket. So we got like 1 fair sized dude, like not big, not small, but just a normal looking dude. Then we got 1 very skinny, tall kid standing here, maybe like 6'2", 6'3", but just super skinny, super wiry. And then we got another dude who's like a little bit shorter than me. He's like 5'8", but he's like stocked. Like he's like, you can tell, like this dude's jacked, okay? And in his pocket, you can see the baggie sticking out of his pocket. So as fast as I can, I reach down, grab the baggie, like I can just barely grab the corner, and I just grab it and throw it and toss it to Casper, okay? And Casper is standing there with the golf club and just watches the baggie go flying past him. And so the other dude, the stocky kid, starts running over to Casper, because Casper starts to like walk over to the baggie to get it, and the stocky kid starts running at him. Okay, Casper takes the golf club, and instead of pulling it back and hitting the guy with it, he puts it out forward like this to create distance. He should have just whacked the guy over the head, but instead he did this. Okay, and so the stocky kid just literally grabs it, snaps it in half. It's one of those like the ones that you tee off with. I don't know much about golf, so I can't remember what any of these clubs are called, but it's the wood, I guess, but it's like, it was metal. So yeah, it's the driver. Okay, so he snaps it, and then with the part that you hit the club with, rears back, and as soon as he rears back, I come from behind him and I just grab it, throw it back, and then grab this guy in a headlock and go down to the ground. Okay, so we are on the ground and we're freaking fighting for a minute, like wrestling over and over. I tried to headbutt him, but he was trying to headbutt me at the same time. And so we ended up just hitting each other in the head. And I think we did that like 2 or 3 times. It freaking hurt, dude. Like, we just kept like, I was trying to headbutt his nose. I wanted to break his freaking nose, but every time I'd go, he'd freaking headbutt me back, and we just hit each other in the foreheads over and over. It hurt. It's all dizzy and like dazed. So we're on the ground, like we're like punching each other in the face and freaking kneeing each other and kicking each other and all this crap. And we're wrestling, and I've got the better of him for the most part, but at one point, I don't remember what happened, but for some reason, he was able to get on top of me. And this is the first time he was able to get on top of me. And as soon as he got on top of me, Main Event comes over and grabs his head and just freaking knees him right in the head. And as soon as he did that, I was able to get over right back on top of him. And he's like, okay, I give up. So I stand up and let him up. And then as soon as he stands up, he starts running at Casper again to try to get Casper. So as soon as he starts running at Casper again, I run over and tackle him, take him back down to the ground, and start fighting with him again. We're fighting for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. It feels like forever. It feels like a really long time. Like I'm so tired at this point. Like in total is probably like 5 minutes, but it was like 2.5 minute rounds of us fighting. And I'm exhausted, dude. But over and over, I'm like pinning him down and holding his arms down. And then I'd hold his arms down and be like, you guys gonna stop? You gonna stop? And he's like, no, you guys are robbing us. And wham, right in the face. He'd try to swing back, and I'd take his hands and pin him down again. And then wham, right in the face again. Pin him down again, get his arms, hold his wrists down, and then bam. And I kept just wailing in it right in the face over and over until finally he's like, okay, I'll stop. But then again, he freaking punches me in the face, and I'm pissed off at this point. Like, I'm tired of this. This is annoying. I'm getting really frustrated. And when Dakota had come over, I'm fighting him. And then his brother, so Main Event's little brother and his friend are over here, like right around the corner, up on the top railing, just watching us. Okay. And you can hear them like gasping and crap. They're like little kids. They're like 10 years old. Main Event's dog had taken a big old crap in the middle of the carpet earlier that day. And he did this all the time. Like, the dog would just poop in the house. And when the guy hit me in the face, I was really pissed off, and I couldn't get him to stop. And I kept telling him to just stop and we'll let him go, but he wouldn't. So I reached over, I grabbed the dog crap, and I shoved it in his face. And I smeared it in his face, and I opened his mouth. I forced his mouth open. I shoved the crap all in his mouth, all in his eyes, all up his nostrils. I rubbed it in good. I just continued rubbing, and he was screaming bloody murder the entire time, like screaming, ah! Ah! And I was just shoving it all in his mouth, and just kept like pulling his mouth back open and just rubbing it in, making sure I got it all in his teeth. It was going to be stuck in there good. This stuff was like dry on the outside, but wet and gooey in the middle. You know, that kind of crap, right? Rubbed it all in his hair, everything, dude. I got this dude's in every like orifice I could find, just completely filled with this dog crap. And finally he screams. He's like, okay, I give up. So I stand up, he stands up, he says, okay, let's go. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And I start walking away. And Main Event and Casper and his brothers, his brother and his friend, all start yelling at them like, yeah, motherfucker, that's right, get out of here, fuck you. Like, they're all yelling at them. So I'm just walking away. I'm exhausted, dude. I am so tired. And I can hear him screaming at his friends, you let him shove shit in my mouth. You just stood there while he shoved shit in my mouth. And as I'm continuing to walk away, and then out of nowhere, I feel bam right over the back of my head. And I'm like, I'm like almost out of it at this point. Like truly, like I almost like passed out from how hard he hit me. Everything was like woozy. And I turn around and he's got a gun in my face. And it's like an old gun. Like it looked like it was something out of like a Civil War museum or something. But yeah, he had just like hit me with the end of the gun. And he kept like putting it right up against my head. I kept backing up and I'm like, bro, it's over. Like, we're good. You guys got your money. Like, everything's good. Like, it's over. And he's like, oh, you're not so hard now, are you? You want to shove shit in my mouth before. You don't want to do that now, do you? You're not so hard now, are you? And I'm still just like backing up like, bro, it's over. Like, we're good. Everything's cool. Like, we can be friends now. Like, I'm just continuing to back up. And at some point, I don't remember if he like put it down to my chest or something, but he moved the gun and looked back. And as soon as he did, I put my arm over the gun and kind of took the gun. And he literally, as soon as I put my arm over it, he let it go and ran. And just ran out the freaking door. As soon as he ran and I heard the door close, I fell down and almost like passed out. Like I was done. I was so done. I was so exhausted. The adrenaline that had been pumping for so long, like this is probably like a 10-minute sequence. I was done, dude. And I immediately just like fell to my knees and just kind of like face planted into a couch. And then Casper and Main Event come over and they're like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I'm fine. They're like, you're bleeding. And so I get up. I didn't know I was bleeding. So I got up, went in the bathroom, and I have like blood all over my mouth. My cheek was bleeding. So I just kind of like washed everything off. And then I come out and they're on the back porch smoking. And Casper's sitting there with the bag of rolls like, haha, fuck these guys. They thought they were going to get us, but we fucked them up. And Main Event's like, Casper, you didn't do anything. Tom just fought with this guy the entire time. You didn't do shit. He's like, oh yeah? And then he pulls out a wad of money and he's like, I got their money. And he had like, it apparently, so they were pretending to give him $2,000. Well, at this point, it was much more than $2,000. Like, I don't even know how much money it was supposed to be, because he kept raising the prices before, so I don't know how much it was supposed to be, but it turned out to be like a couple $100 in ones and 20s and 5s, and it was just like a lot of money, but just not $2,000. Like, it wasn't anywhere close to that. It was maybe a couple hundred, just all wadded up. And so they tried to make it look like it was a lot of money by just putting like all of the 20s and everything on top, and then handed it to him, and he pretty quickly realized that it was not $2,000 and just threw the money and blocked the door to stop them from getting out. Apparently they just wanted to see it, and he pulled it out and they snatched it and tried to run out. And so yeah, he had all the freaking money. And Main Event was like, bro, give that to Tom. He's the one who just bought these guys off. And I think he handed me a 20 or something. I don't remember. But I didn't even, like, I was not even really computing what was going on there. I immediately was like, why didn't they point the guns at us from the beginning? Why did they wait until I shoved shit in his mouth to then come hit me with the bottom of a gun? Why did they let me like beat the shit out of their friend if they were holding guns the entire time? And Casper and Main Event were like, bro, they had 2 guns. The 2 other guys were holding guns the entire time. I was like, what? No, they weren't. They're like, yes, they were. They're like, bro, we didn't know what the fuck you were doing. We thought you were insane. We thought you were just calling their bluff, and you just started beating the shit out of their friend, the one guy who wasn't holding a gun. And so they both pointed their guns at me and Casper, and we just stood there with our hands up. I was like, no shot, dude. No shot. They had guns the entire time. I never saw a freaking gun at all. They're like, yes. They were pointing guns at us the whole freaking time. They're like, sometimes they had them just like pointed down. They're like, until you guys got in the fight, they had the guns pointed down and they were just holding them in their hands. But as soon as we got up there, the 2 other guys were holding guns the entire time. I'm pretty sure I threw up at this point or something. Like, I was freaking out. I could not believe that I couldn't believe that just happened. I didn't know that they had guns the entire time. I had no clue. things would have gone very differently if I had known that the two other guys had guns. Because in my head, I thought, what gives this guy the gall to run and charge at Casper when I throw Casper the bag? Casper's a big dude. I'm a big dude. Casper and Main Event have golf clubs. Like, what was this? What was he thinking? Running at him like he was about to take the bag from him. No way that was about to happen. But then, when you hear that the other two guys had guns, why would he think he couldn't just take the bag? Like, why wouldn't he think he could just take the bag? Why not? So yeah, everything looked very different to me after, when we're sitting on the back porch smoking cigarettes and talking about this. But in the moment, I thought these guys were just like, had lost their freaking minds. I thought that they were just like, they had nothing to lose or something. We had a dude putting a lot of pressure on us to sell all of these rolls. And so I don't know if they had guns, I don't know how differently it would have gone, because it's not like we could have just handed it to them anyways, because then, yeah, we would have gotten killed by the other guy. So I don't know how differently it would have gone, but yeah, it was a wild freaking day. And then later that night, we were out at a party. Literally, that's all anybody was talking about, was that I think they had already heard it from other people. The story was Tom beat the shit out of 3 people with guns. Like, by the time we got there, that was already, like, the story was Tom beat the shit out of 3 guys who were pointing guns at him. It was obviously very different than how it actually happened, but yeah. I forgot about the hat. So I don't have the hat with me right here, but maybe about 5 years ago, I went over to Main Events, hung out with him for a while. I think it was actually in Texas. I can't remember if it was in Texas or here, but he pulls out, he's like, oh, check this out, dude. I just saw this today. Check this out. And pulls out this hat. It says Hurley on it. He's like, do you know what this is? And I was like, what is that? He's like, this is Hurley's hat. We always called the kid that I fought with, that I shoved shit in his mouth and everything, we always called him Hurley, because he was wearing a Hurley hat. I didn't know that he left it. I had no idea that he left it, but Main Event had the hat. Like, he was there with the hat, like 10 years later. He's like, yeah, this is the hat, dude. I was like, can I have it? He's like, yeah, here. He just gave me the hat. You have to put it on. Let me see if I can. I think it's sitting over there. This is the hat. So yeah, I got a trophy. It's super wrinkled though, so can't wear it very well, but yeah, it doesn't look very good. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no poop on it. The hat fell off long before there was any poop. That's the infamous hat of Hurley, yes. Yeah, and so I'm always telling Main Event, like, I want him to come on and talk about these stories with me, because 1, it would just be dope to have somebody else who can, like, verify all this stuff. 2, like, he might remember details that I don't, and, like, you know, he can talk about his point of view and what was happening and crap like that. And every time he says he's gonna come on, he just doesn't. He was supposed to do, like, this show was originally supposed to be him and I talking about, like, politics and stuff. We were supposed to do a podcast together, and I thought you were going to say dude was called Hurley because he puked after having shit in his mouth. I mean, I'm sure he did. I would assume he did, but honestly, I always thought they were going to come back. I thought, like, for me, if I got embarrassed that badly, I would never just let that stand. Not only that, the dude who ended up, who linked us, I think his name was Parker. Like, months later, we called him to buy some weed from him, and, like, planned everything out ahead of time. And he came, I was sitting in the back seat. He got into the passenger seat and, like, pulls out the weed, and I come around, because he was in the, yeah, he's in the front passenger seat, and came around his throat and choked him for a while. Like, bro, you know, you almost got us killed. We're trying to figure out if he was in on it, because if you're the guy who's making the connect for us to meet with these people, and then they try to rob us. Yeah, I would assume there's some reason they think they can just come rob us. Like, you had to have done something to make them think that you can come rob us. So I messed with him for a bit. He started crying, swore up and down that he didn't have anything to do with it. I never believed him, but yeah, I think that was the last time we saw that kid. Coming up much later reminds me of the story of the kid who, by the end of school, revealed to their friend that they were getting really old personal photos as trophies from every party. The level of disrespect of having shit in your mouth, I can't believe they didn't come back. Truly, I always thought they would come back. Like, I always thought, okay, if I was them, I would wait like a year to just think, like, okay, because if you do it right after or even shortly after, we're gonna automatically assume it's them, and then we're gonna try to find them, right? Like they do anything. But if you do something a year later, come back in masks or something, like, who knows who it is now? We've dicked over 100 other people at this point. So yeah, that's the poop story.